Restructuring firm RSM is expected to make an announcement later today revealing an increase in the number of people whose financial situation deteriorated so badly they were forced to claim bankruptcy.
Yeah, financial expert Sue Hayward joins us now. So there's been a big rise in the number of people that are suddenly taking personal sort of insolvency. There's different sorts though, isn't there? But
Yes.
Personal insolvency is what we understand as being going bankrupt.
That's right. I mean, bankruptcy is the thing most people think of, really, at the end of the line. Almost, I suppose, for a lot of people, they feel it's like wiping the slate clean. But in fact, actually, there's other forms, and you don't necessarily get to choose yourself. So you can't think, oh, well, I've racked up some money on store cards, I'll decide to go bankrupt. There are, for example, debt relief orders, which are usually aimed at people who've got under £20,000 worth of debt, low assets, in which case sometimes your debts can be frozen. Other times you can have what's known as an individual voluntary agreement, which is usually you may have a property, you may have a car, but you won't necessarily lose it. Whereas with bankruptcy, literally almost everything you own is taken away from you. So usually for bankruptcy, what you owe has to be more than what you own, and then they take the lot.
So why is it then that we see, or is it just our perception that we see this? Why is it we see people declare themselves bankrupt and then in a matter of weeks or months seemingly either reopen a new store, reopen a new business, reopen a new restaurant? How does that happen? Because I think it can seem almost like a fiddle.
It can. I mean, the rules are slightly different in America, for example, to in the UK. England and Wales have certain rules. I mean, usually with bankruptcy, if you're a company director, you work in property or the law, there's certain jobs where you would find it very hard. You may well lose your job and you'd find it very hard to be back in business again. But in other cases, it may be a case that eventually over the years you could re-establish yourself on your feet. I mean, usually this stays in your credit record for around 6 years. So for 6 years, you're going to have a tough time getting credit. And even in the future, you know, people talk about 0% balance transfer cards, you know, things like that. You're almost impossible. You're never going to get the deals on those again. So really, bankruptcy is the worst scenario. While it does, on the surface, wipe everything out, if you like, temporarily, the repercussions last for many, many years to come.
So we know that Donald Trump himself has claimed bankruptcy at a certain point in his business career as well. Is there the stigma attached to it as there always used to be? Because there certainly was something sort of embarrassing, it would seem.
People would avoid at all costs, wouldn't they?
Anything rather than take bankruptcy.
I think very much because people have seen celebrities go bankrupt, it has lost a lot of its stigma. But having said that, for a lot of people, you know, most people, if they had been in that situation, they certainly wouldn't want friends and family to know about it. I think the most important thing is for people, it's not sticking their head in the sand, because I think there's a lot of people where if their financial situation escalates and maybe they're just struggling to pay the mortgage, and then they lose their job, or, you know, something happens, then they panic. And I think because you can get free advice, it's always worth getting the free advice, because there's a lot of commercial companies out there that charge for debt advice, and if you then sort out any form of repayment plan, they will take a big chunk of that in commission, whereas your people like National Debt Line, Citizens Advice and Step Change will offer free advice. They don't judge, they're not going to wag the finger at you and give you a hard time. They will just speak to you, and then they can put you in touch with people who can talk you through your next option. So it's not down to you to think, oh, I'm going to go bankrupt, this is what I'll do. And it costs money to go bankrupt. It actually costs about £700 to apply online to go bankrupt.
So you've got absolutely nothing, so you have to go bankrupt.
So you've got to find the money, you've got to scrape it together somewhere, which is crazy.
OK. Sue, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Sue Hayward there.